Hi, so this is my video journal on understanding media bias. I have two examples. My first example is from the Huffington Post, and it is Rush Limbaugh's response to Obama's re-election. What I said was that this bias was biased by market demand because Rush Limbaugh is like a personality that people go to hear a good story or get someone's opinion on something. He doesn't really like regarded as like the news per se. He's more like a personality who he uses what he says or his opinions to attract viewers or listeners, or even people who hate him, because there are a lot of people who truly hate him but still listen to him just to hear the outlandish things that he says. I think that this example represents media bias because Rush Limbaugh is like super Republican, like I'm a Republican type of status. So essentially everything that he's going to report is going to be very pro-Republican, anti-democratic. So I thought that was a good example of media bias, just because he's automatically going to have his biases when he starts. Yeah, my second example is from a website that reported on Hurricane Katrina, and what the article talks about is how the relief that was sent to Hurricane Katrina was kind of misconstrued, and that because the situation was so severe, it was hard for a whole lot of people to get the relief that they wanted when they wanted it. So that would be biased by extraordinary experiences, because it's in the article. It touches on about oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm watching the football game, I'm sorry, but it talks about how in the reports a lot of people reported that from the media coverage that there wasn't a lot of relief coming out, and that there's all of these people who were being sent here and there, and there wasn't anything for them, any like resources for them to get, and that is an example of bias by extraordinary experiences, because although the journalists wanted to report the hardcore facts, it's hard for them to strictly stay in a straight lane when they're hearing all of these very serious and heartbreaking stories. And they try as hard as they can to be unbiased and balanced and stuff, but like you said in class, it really gets them to a point where it's hard for them to stay on the straight and narrow when they're giving really, really harsh recounts of what's actually happened, when in actuality there was relief being sent out to them. From what this article says, it just wasn't able to reach as many people as they would have liked it to be at a quickly time. Just the same way as with Hurricane Sandy, there was a lot of people who were saying, oh, there's not enough relief happening, but there's so much relief happening. It was just so many people who were devastated by the storm that there wasn't the ability to get them right on time. And what media bias is, in my opinion, media bias is a way of kind of framing or sculpting the way the news is presented in different scenarios, depending on who is giving the information and who's receiving the information. For example, if your audience was mostly women, you would report a rape case more seriously than, say, shoplifting or something like that. Or if you're reporting to families or something, things that pertain to the family or that would be directly prevalent to those people would be something that you would present more heavily. So media bias is essentially just framing the media or framing the news presented through the different media outlets, in a way that you think would get to your audience and be heard the most. So yes, that is my video journal on understanding media bias.